Potassium is one of the three primary crop nutrients, and having an ample amount of available potassium is critical to plant growth and development. However, it is also important to consider the ratio of potassium ions in the soil in relation to the other cations measured on a base saturation test.
Potassium is very critical for the overall health of a plant. It helps with that cell wall strength, which ultimately helps reduce the amount of lodging and improves the overall stalk strength of a crop. It also is very helpful in helping the overall health from a disease management side. There's a lot of potassium in our soil, but the truth is only a very small percentage of that is in the soil solution and available for the crop for production. The biggest percentage of that potassium is actually locked away between layers of clay and in a form that's no longer available for plant uptake.
Potassium is important for respiration, the opening and closing of the stomata. In western Kansas, where we get hot and dry, it's very important to have ample amounts of potassium so that we can allow that plant to shut down when it gets extremely hot and conserve moisture, and open it back up when the temperatures drop and it's able to fulfill its potential.
Low potassium is one of those nutrients that is pretty easy to manage. It depends upon how low it gets, but there's many dry fertilizer options that will help you to balance that, and then you can come in with readily available potassium sources for fertility programs, whether it's in-furrow or foliar applications, to address that immediate crop need.
Too many times people actually think that, I've put all this potassium on, I should have more, my soil's calling for it, but there actually gets to a point of diminishing returns. 0060 or potassium chloride carries chloride as well, but there actually gets to a point that they've added so much chloride to it, which is a salt, that they're causing yield reduction, even though they need more potassium. So they need to just be cognizant of how much they're putting out there.
If we have too much potassium, it goes back to that balancing that we talked about in earlier videos, that we will throw off that balance of magnesium and calcium.
So when you have excess potassium, and I have sodium in the soil, if my potassium and sodium, when added together, exceed 10%, then that soil can actually seal off and my water penetration goes way down. So even in soils that we have a lot of potassium and we get hot and dry, that potassium gets locked in the soil layers, therefore causing some late season potassium deficiencies, which there in turn can cause green snap or lodging late season. A lot of growers will put some potassium late season through their fertigation systems along with their nitrogen in order to offset that.
Potassium is another one of those critical elements that is very important for the balancing that we talk about with other nutrients, but it's also a key to crop production. And it's one of those nutrients that we really have to focus on management to provide enough potassium for a crop. Next, we're going to talk about sulfur, but for more information on potassium, go to our website at agroliquid.com.